The roulette wheel has a couple options that you're just going to be pissed about, but like just spin it and it's like, okay, I'm starting Ricky Seals-Jones against the Patriots. What?
Sign me up for some 3 points.
You're listening to Let's Talk Fantasy Football, where men of fantasy genius have realized, hey guys, we don't need real football skills to dominate on the fantasy field. Yeah. So slap on your pads and grab your helmet. Shit's about to get real.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Let's Talk Fantasy Football. I'm your host tonight. My name is Nick Walsh, and I am here with the one. I use that too much. I always use it for Don every time. I do this with you every time where I think I'll have something in my head and then I just don't have jack shit because we've done so many of these together that I feel like I've used everything. But you're looking real cute over there, dude. I'm here with Vinny Gonzalez. Vinny, what's up, man?
Oh, thank you, sir. I'm doing great, man. It's been a fun week 6 that we get to talk about, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, interesting week 6 for sure. A lot of very interesting performances, some crazy news that just happened to break before we got on, but we will get into that in due time. If you haven't figured it out, we are here for the week 6 recap. So we'll be getting you guys all the information that you need from week 6 to move forward with your fantasy lineups, your fantasy leagues, whatever else you need this information for. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know this podcast is courtesy of MyBookie. There's nothing else like the NFL, and there's no better way to make the games even more exciting than to bet on them. So do the smart thing. Go to mybookie.ag because no one gives you more ways to win than they do. Use that promo code Let's Talk. That's LETSTALK. That gets you a 100% sign-up bonus up to $1,000. It's a no-brainer. Vinny and I are doing it. You should too. With that being said, let's get right into the breaking news of the day, which is that Jalen Ramsey was just traded to the Rams for 2 first-round picks and a conditional 4th-round pick. I do not know what the condition on the 4th-round pick was, but holy shit, dude. This is really, really crazy. What's your take on Ramsey to the Rams in terms of this year? Are they going all in? And then how the fuck are they going to pay this guy?
Yeah, I think I'm more concerned about how they're doing this because it seems like they're just bringing in mercenaries year to year, and they have massive contracts for Gurley, Goff, and Brandon Cooks, and Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they have any money, let alone – you could send draft picks all you want, but holy shit, dude, they got to pay this guy. He wants to get paid. I'm assuming they're going to extend him, but I'm more curious about how the fuck they have any money left. But it's a great move for them. For now, because they're really struggling, and they now will get a lockdown corner, take away that first read for defenses. So, for offenses, and then they're going to have to hold the ball, and maybe Aaron Donald in that line can start getting to people because they've been sort of out of whack. So I really like the trade. Rams are pretty aggressive with shit like this, and it always seems to help them in to their benefit. So I really like the move. I'm just concerned about the effects of how the hell they're going to get away with this.
Yeah, I'm no cap specialist, but giving huge contracts to 5 guys doesn't seem like you're going to have a ton left over for the rest of your team, right? So in those cases, then you kind of need to build around maybe vets on the minimum or young guys who are still on rookie contracts. But the issue is that they just traded away all of their fucking draft picks. So the young guys on rookie contracts thing doesn't seem particularly viable going forward. But we'll see how they figure it out. As I said, I'm not an expert on their cap situation or on the salary cap in general. But this fits into a lot of things that really happened for the Rams this week. So I'm going to just kind of run through all of these sort of in the order that they did happen. And then we'll kind of talk about the whole thing. So basically, the first dominoes to fall this week was the injury news. So Aqib Talib going on IR with a rib injury. He is of course, their number 1 corner, though he hasn't, per PFF, he hasn't been particularly good this year. And then Joseph Noteboom, who was their starting left guard, also out for the season with a torn ACL and MCL. Noteboom has been absolutely terrible this year, but there were people playing behind him who you would think are even worse. So that doesn't seem like good news. The next sort of domino to fall here was the Rams traded a 2021 fifth-round pick for Austin Corbett. That was a lineman from the Browns. Corbett was their 2018 second-round pick. He's sort of an interior lineman listed as a center who has not panned out for them. So that seemed like a move to maybe pick up some slack for Noteboom getting hurt. Corbett hasn't really been able to crack Cleveland's starting offensive line, and their offensive line is bad. So I think it's fair to question how good he is. Next move here, Marcus Peters traded to the Ravens for linebacker Kenny Young and a 2020 fifth rounder. This appears in retrospect to, or in hindsight, I suppose, to have been a salary dump because Peters was getting a lot of money from them and they needed to free up that money in order to do what we already talked about, which was acquire Jalen Ramsey. So I hope you followed all that. It now seems like I'm not really sure who's going to play outside cornerback along with Jalen Ramsey because Nickel Roby-Coleman has been a slot man for pretty much his entire career. You would assume he stays there. So, we'll keep you guys updated in terms of the rest of their cornerback situation, but it appears that Jalen Ramsey will be one of the starting cornerbacks for the Rams going forward. The other news is that Malcolm Brown has an ankle injury in his day-to-day, so maybe Darrell Henderson is free? I don't know. Walk me through your thoughts on anything to do with that large diatribe that I went on, and then specifically on Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson.
You did a great job, so I'm going to stay away from all that. I'll just say Ravens getting Marcus Peters is very good for them because they already had Humphreys playing at a pretty elite level. They're going to get Jimmy Smith back, so their core is going to be very interesting for the cornerbacks on the Ravens. So they made a move, and it seems to be a good one right now. As far as the Rams, I think Aqib Talib should be back. So eventually, so when he does get back, they're going to have lockdown fucking corners on both sides. So that could be a lot of trouble if they make it to the playoffs, but neither here nor there because they still have to get there first. Let's get to the fantasy relevant shit. Malcolm Brown, dude, that was interesting to say the least. He had obtained all of his yards, it seemed like, on the first drive, and that was pretty much it. Darrell Henderson was more involved towards the end because Malcolm Brown was kind of in and out with that ankle injury. Had a fumble, but looked like a dude who could provide a spark. Like, didn't look like a bum, but could break a big play. So it'll be interesting. They do play the Falcons this week, so that should be sweet for anyone that's starting behind the line there. If Malcolm Brown's ready to go, he should have a good game, so I wouldn't be worried about that if he's ready to go. If he's not, Darrell Henderson becomes a must start. So if you do have Malcolm Brown, pick up Henderson, I guess, just precautionary because now we don't know what he's doing. It looks like Todd Gurley has a chance to play. That kind of sucks to go off of, but that seems to be the situation right now.
Yeah, Henderson needs to be owned. Like, he needs to be a speculative ad for someone, whether you're the Malcolm Brown owner or not. Maybe you just have low waiver priority, or you don't have as much fab left in your budget or whatever. But Henderson needs to be owned for sure, because if Brown's questionable and we don't know if Gurley's going to play, like, he has the chance to get a heavy workload against the fucking Falcons. So that's a great position to be in. I just want to comment really quickly on Marcus Peters to the Ravens, because you brought that up. I didn't even mention that side of the aspect. Peters is a guy who can get burned, but I think mostly gets burned when he is the number one corner. Peters is great as a guy who doesn't have to lock down the number one guy because he's known to be a risk taker. He has his eyes in the backfield at the quarterback almost like all the time, and he's constantly trying to jump plays. So if you don't have him locking down a number one target, that style of play works significantly better. And we know that in Baltimore, Marlon Humphrey has been just absolutely stellar in terms of locking down number one targets this year. So I think that's a situation where Marcus Peters should theoretically be able to be used to the best of his ability. Should we move on from the Rams in this situation?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come back to them when we start talking about stuff that happened, but yeah.
Yeah, we got you're right. We do have a lot more Rams talk to come. So we'll get off of them for right now. They're the most newsworthy team this week. So what can you do? All right, next bit of news here. Heavy rumors coming out that Trent Williams will be a Cleveland Brown soon. Trent Williams, of course, holding out as the left tackle for the Washington Redskins. And we know that the Browns' offensive line has been sort of their Achilles heel, and particularly Greg Robinson, their left tackle. Everyone saw him just get absolutely demolished by Nick Bosa against the Niners. So what's your opinion on this here?
Great move for the Browns. They need this very badly. It could save their season, especially in a division that's like completely up for grabs right now in the AFC North. So it'd be a great move for the Browns if they can land him, but yet to be seen if Snyder's going to play ball and get rid of their best player. So it'll be interesting if they release him into the wild.
Yeah, Snyder and Bruce Allen fucking suck.
Douchebags.
Unbelievable. But yeah, I completely agree. Even at 2-4, they are still, if they can get right, they are still definite contenders in this division where no team has emerged as a clear favorite, and 2 teams have emerged as pretty bad. So what can you do? Speaking of pretty bad, the Bengals are pretty bad, and Zach Taylor would not comment on whether or not AJ Green would practice this week. I don't want to speculate, but the tea leaves are looking like a trade to me. Am I off on that?
Yeah, they said multiple times that they're not going to. AJ Green said he wants to be a Bengal forever, following in Larry Fitzgerald's footsteps of just staying on a bad team and just being an example of a good person. So props to AJ Green if he stays. I totally get it both ways if they trade him or not. Like, I just don't think they will. I think he wants to stay there, prove a point or whatever he wants to do at this point in his career. Bengals are absolute shit. So I'm kind of up in the air on how I feel about – I would definitely cry, but I don't know how I would feel, if he left or not. So I really don't think he's going to get traded, but I really don't even know if he's going to play. Like, I'm getting very nervous about that. Like, if he stays out now, there's 2 more games until the bye week, and then wouldn't it make sense to hold him out until then just to get totally right? And then at that point, the season's gone. So – I'm starting to think maybe AJ Green misses the entire season. That's how my tea leaves are sort of panning out.
Yeah, I definitely think that's fair. I for your sake, I hope he doesn't get traded because I don't want to see you cry like a widow mourning over their husband's body.
Take me instead.
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't want to see that happen to you. I don't want that for you because you will sound more despondent than Don did that one week on the recap that him and Shrek did.
Oh God, just fucking old yeller me if I sound like that ever.
All right. We'll move on here. The Titans are going to name a starting quarterback. They initially said Monday night. They later said tonight, which it is Tuesday. We should have mentioned that. Tuesday around 9 p.m. Eastern at this current time. They have not named one yet. But they finally made the move of benching Marcus Mariota and going to Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill, by efficiency and completion rate and all those sorts of things, played better than Mariota, but the offense still sucked. Does this register on any sort of fantasy scale for you?
They're the same fucking person. They're the same fucking quarterback. Like, it really doesn't matter. This is the most lateral move of all lateral moves. It doesn't move the needle in any direction for me on any other skill position player. And really the only Titan you're ever playing with any confidence is Derrick Henry. And even at that, we saw his floor go through the basement this week. So it's even that is like sketchy at this point. So they're going to be a team in disarray if they make a change. Or I don't know, maybe Tannehill gets them back on track a little bit. Titans are a weird fucking team, and I hate diagnosing them.
Yeah, I hate doing that. I think you couldn't really said it any better there. The Dolphins say they will keep starting Josh Rosen despite benching him on Sunday against Washington. You would think if he can't handle the Washington pass rush, like what pass rush can he handle? But it was, I don't know. It was just weird that they went to Fitzpatrick there because, like, one, don't you want to lose that game? Don't you want the number 1 pick so you can take either Tua or Justin Herbert? And then 2, why are you benching like this guy ever? Like, you're not trying. I mean, I guess they're the same point. You're not trying to win.
Yeah, and they proved that when they called that fucking 2-point conversion. That was hilarious. It's like, yo, let's throw a bubble screen. No, that sucks. But
to Kenyon Drake, who is in motion. It's like, what?
Yeah, who definitely crossed his hands before the ball was even there. It's like, that looked very fake.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're just trying to look good while they tank gracefully. Whatever. Props to them. Yeah, I don't get the Dolphins. It was, we were talking about how it's like Preston Williams week and possibly
Fuck me,
Parker.
dude.
I know that was bad. Parker wound up with the touchdown, but like 20 something yards, 30 something yards. So
yeah, Williams had 7 targets. You would think if a guy gets 7 targets against Washington, like he could at least get you like 60 yards, but no.
Yeah, and he's had a pretty decent floor like throughout the weeks. Like he didn't really burn you if you played him, but it's rough, and you just don't want to play them ever. They've had their best possible matchup, and now it's gone. So drop every fucking dude on that team.
Yeah, 100%. It's worth noting with them that Mark Walton is playing ahead of Kalen Ballage. That was a funny thing too. That the split was mostly Drake and Walton, and then Ballage got the fucking touchdown. It's like
so typical, dude.
Yeah, why wouldn't this be the case? But anyway. Moving on to Arizona, where Patrick Peterson will be reinstated from suspension this week. You would think this would make their defense better. I don't know how much better. I don't know how they're going to use him. I don't know how in shape he is. I'm waiting and seeing in terms of downgrading people against Arizona.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's definitely not going to be guarding any tight ends, so that's still a go. I guess I'd be concerned about like number ones. But even at that, we don't know what kind of condition he is. I'm assuming he'll still play very well. It's Patrick Peterson. Like, come on. But, I'm agreeing with the wait and see. Like, if you have Golden Tate this week, I'm sure you're playing him. Evan Ingram will be out there, of course, and probably be tight end 1. So that's probably the situation for this upcoming week. I agree with the wait and see for now.
Yeah. What was up with Sanu just getting, like, almost blanked, too, in that game? Do you have any, like – fuck, man. Like I thought like I was on something there. Like I'm not on something, onto something. Where it was like Sanu sneakily had the most targets on the Falcons of any wide receiver. And then like the matchup everyone knows is tight ends against the Cardinals, but slot receivers against the Cardinals like have also quietly been the matchup. And then just like nothing.
I really don't know. It was pretty much the Hooper show at that point.
Yeah. Dude, I even looked it up. He was tied for the team lead in red zone targets going into that week. So I was like, he even has touchdown equity. And then just like none of it.
Yeah, it just didn't work. I don't think it would stop me from playing Sanu going forward. Like anything over the middle is going to come really easy to them because they're usually in catch-up mode, and it's just they don't have a lot of time with the offensive line. So I still will advocate playing Sanu if you're in a tough spot. And Hooper will continue to be like playing as a tight end 1. So all about those guys still, high target volume and whatnot. That's how their offense has to play now. And we've seen it in Devonta Freeman too, who's getting a shitload of targets and catches. So anything short, quick developing routes are a go on the Falcons. Calvin Ridley's going to get his. Julio will get his sometime. Oh, reverse those. Calvin Ridley sometimes, Julio. But yeah, they do further stuff down the field, deep threat stuff. So anything short, quick stuff, I'm way more about on the Falcons side. I think that's more dependable, and it just sucks it didn't work out last week.
Fair enough. That was some bonus information. We didn't even put that on the fucking outline.
Boom, baby.
So you're welcome. Moving on to Chris Herndon. He was activated from the suspension list. Might have a shot to play this week, even with his hamstring injury. With how good the Jets looked, and we'll get into that more later, any interest in Herndon?
Yeah, I'm about it. Preferably if you have another backup option, I would stash him more likely than like kind of put all my eggs in one basket hoping he plays, because hamstring's not something you want to fuck with, and we don't know his workload. We don't know his role in the offense. So it's kind of still more of a stash for me. I'll wait and see. I don't know how excited I'd be about rolling him out, but if you've been really fucked and he's out there, sure. Like if you're playing like Jason Witten or Jimmy Graham, some shit like that, like more worth the risk in that situation. But more of a stash for me right now. I want to see him play a game.
Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to like, if you had like Will Dissly or something like that, like
right,
picking up him as like a stash and then someone else as just sort of a roulette, spin this week. But anyway, moving on to the Panthers, we've got Cam Newton. He's going to return to practice following the Panthers week 7 bye. They are on the bye this week. We'll see what Ron Rivera decides to do with that. I'm not really sure what direction they'll go. Kyle Allen has been
good.
He's been exactly like he's been like if you took if you're like, this quarterback is the system, like that's what Kyle Allen has been, plus a couple fumbles, like he's taken what defenses has given to him. He seems to be executing Norv Turner's offense really, really well. I don't think he's been adding anything on top of that, but I don't know. I have mixed thoughts about Cam and just like seeing how healthy he is and all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts here?
It's going to be really interesting. Ron Rivera, I think he'll go back to Cam. How many games have they been, trailing or down with Kyle Allen? They've kind of been leading and just kind of CMC the entire time. So
yeah, they're 5-0 with him as a starter going back to week 17 of last year. So
exactly. I don't want to say it's been easy. Like any win is impressive, and he's been very impressive. But I think you have more of, if Cam is healthy, like I think you put him right back in. He's done a great job. It's kind of like the Teddy Bridgewater situation for the Saints. Like you're going to put Drew Brees back in. What he's done is very impressive, but they're both staying afloat in the same division, and it's going to get interesting. Do you want Cam during a playoff push, or do you want to mess with Kyle Allen and like harder to win games as like the season continues?
Yeah, and I think that's probably what it comes down to is I think maybe your floor is a little bit lower with Cam Newton, just depending on his health and how much they're willing to run him and all these sorts of things that are really just relative unknowns with Cam at this point. But also when you get to the playoffs and you're playing these good playoff teams, like Kyle Allen, if you get down, Kyle Allen is not going to lead you to a victory against the Saints.
It's going to be way tougher.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there, see which way Rivera goes. And then the last bit of news that we wanted to get to was Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby are both coming back to practice for the Eagles on Wednesday, it says. Mills and Darby are their two starting cornerbacks. Now, Darby has been out since week 4, and Mills started the season on the PUP list, so he has not played at all this year. Neither of these guys are really shutdown guys, but if you remember, towards the end of last year, like with these two guys as their starting cornerbacks, the defense as a whole was pretty impressive. And this front seven has been stellar so far. They've been getting pressure on the quarterback. They've been good against the run. It's really just been a matter of they're playing like their 4th and 5th string cornerbacks because Avonte Maddox is out as well, and he was their number 3 cornerback. So they've been playing their 4th and 5th string cornerbacks for the past couple of weeks and just getting absolutely toasted by guys like Kirk fucking Cousins.
Oh, yeah.
So even though these guys are not studs, I think the addition of both of them back, if they both are healthy, could be enough to turn the Eagles from, a target in the pass game to a defense that maybe you don't want to fuck with that much in general.
Yeah, this is definitely something you're going to want to monitor, especially with, looking at matchups as the season continues, because this could easily, like you said, turn into something you want to avoid instead of target very quickly. So, like you said, Darby got picked on like very early in the season, and he can give up big plays too. A lot in the Falcons game, the one where he got hurt actually. And Mills hasn't really been on the field for a while, so they are both upgrades. But we will have to. It's going to be a wait and see approach for me. I still think they'll be targeted throughout the air, just because you can't really run on their front anyway. So teams are going to still throw on them, but it will hinder the offensive production. So definitely something to watch as the coming weeks and these guys getting back on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for a little bit of context here, I've been tracking via Pro Football Focus. I've been tracking pressures allowed as well as pressure rates for defenses. Philadelphia's defense through 6 weeks has the highest pressure rate of any defense. So they're getting pressure on the quarterback, and the next step of that, like if you've got cornerbacks who can cover receivers for more than 2 seconds at a time, then that's huge for that sort of thing, because they're already doing the first part. It's just a matter of getting acceptable coverage at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that's going to do it for our news. Let's move on to some injuries that happened this week. The first is Will Disley, who we kind of alluded to before. Achilles injury doesn't seem good. I do not have a specific time frame written down. I don't know if you saw something. But I think it's safe to assume Disley is out for the foreseeable future and can be dropped.
Yeah, you're going to have to go out there and get your Jason Wittens. Hopefully there's something better out there, like a Hunter Henry or Chris Herndon, like we were talking about before. But yeah, you're right back in the tight end streaming pool, which fucking sucks.
Yeah, the roulette wheel has a couple options that you're just gonna be pissed about, but like it just spinning and it's like, okay, I'm starting Ricky Seals Jones against the Patriots. What?
Sign me up for some 3 points.
Yeah, dude. So we can go through some of those options during the preview and whatnot, but man, it is
rough.
It is not great out there. The Pats just re-signed Ben Watson, which we'll get to. So, all right, Amari Cooper, bruised thigh, no structural damage, but reportedly in very bad pain and questionable for Week 7. This is something that's always bothered me because everyone's like, "Oh, it's a bruise. Like, who cares?" Like, if I was playing football with a fat bruise on my thigh, I would like cry like a little girl, dude.
If you get hit in that again, like you're gonna scream.
Yeah,
it's so brutal.
Have you ever like bruised yourself and then accidentally hit that bruise and just been like, ha? It sucks, dude. It's the worst.
Absolutely worst.
But yeah, Amari definitely not healthy. We'll see what happens there. Obviously the Cowboys offensive line has been hurt. Amari's been hurt. We know Dak is not a quarterback who's going to create on his own. He needs these playmakers around him and these guys to protect him around him. So keep an eye on the news there, and we'll see how this plays out. Manny Sanders, knee injury, not serious, upgraded to a full practice today. Do not worry about it. He's going to play on Thursday. It's a good matchup. We'll talk about that later. Yep. James Conner, sorry.
Oh, I just said yeah.
Oh, sweet. James Conner, quad injury. The severity, to my knowledge, has not been made public at this time. I don't know. Did you see anything different there?
No, it seems like it's kind of not being handled because they're on bye anyway. So if you're a Conner owner, I suggest while there is a bye, you can sneakily add, Benny Snell if you're really worried. That's really the only move I can suggest at this time. Like, it's not the sexiest waiver wire pickup, but it's not the greatest waiver wire week, so it's still, you want to be more prepared instead of just not taking it somebody. So I'm sure you could pick them up as a free agent too after they run. So it's not a huge problem.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's one that you need to make your first priority if you're a James Conner owner, because no one outside of the James Conner owner in your league is going to be looking to pick up Benny Snell going into a bye week. So that's one where even if you have a good waiver priority and you want to pick up, someone like a Chase Edmonds or like a Jamal Williams, if he's still available or that sort of thing, like you don't need to use your priority on Snell. Literally just grab him at the very end because he's going to be there.
Yep.
With Pittsburgh, their defense has been very, very good. They showed that this week. Big injury for them. Defensive tackle Stephon Tuitt, arguably their best defensive player, great pass rusher, great run stuffer. Torn pec out for the season. We'll see how that affects them as a whole, but it can't be good for them.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that beatdown of the Chargers, and I probably should have. But it does hurt their defense. Maybe it'll affect because they just don't have a good situation at quarterback, regardless of if Mason Rudolph comes back. So their defense has been really helping them out to stay. They're still in the division race, so this is a huge blow to them.
That's so wild that they are like.
Division is trash.
Yeah, the division is not good. I mean, if the Ravens don't take it, like.
Shame on them.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, seriously. They should get paraded
open
through the streets like with the fucking shame bell. But that would be good because then I could see Lamar Jackson's dong. I want to see how big that thing is.
If he hangs dong all over Baltimore like King's
just throwing vegetables at him. Anyway, Shrek, cut that out.
Definitely make that the opener.
All right. Deebo Samuel day-to-day with a groin injury. Don't think we need to worry about that one too much. And then Matt LaCosse, sprained MCL. He's going to miss a few weeks. If you don't know who Matt LaCosse is, he's the Patriots tight end. They re-signed Ben Watson, as we alluded to before. Do you see this being anything? Because I don't see them changing their offense mid-season to like accommodate Ben Watson targets.
No, probably not. They already cut him before, and then they're just like, oops, can we have you back? And he's like, yeah, no problem. So I don't really huge fucking focal point of their offense. And what's weird is I tried to see what I can like glean out of this. And Matt LaCosse was actually running a decent amount of routes with zero production. So I don't really know what to make of that, but I really don't think I'm going to bank on Ben Watson being really anything.
Okay, I think that's fair. I mean, maybe if you're super desperate again, he wouldn't be the worst like speculative ad. But I wouldn't recommend it. What I would recommend is monitoring N'Keal Harry, who is coming back to practice this week, because we just poo-pooed Ben Watson, but realistically, the Pats need playmakers. Like, they're pretty hurt. Josh Gordon's hurt right now. I don't know his status. Julian Edelman has been playing through an injury. Rex Burkhead has been out in recent weeks. They're kind of thin on playmakers a little bit. And N'Keal Harry could be one of those playmakers. Are you adding him now, or are you waiting?
If you have the bench room, sure, why not? I mean, like you said, there's been a litany of injuries and whatnot, and they really do need playmakers. But the only thing is he won't be eligible to return until week 9. So this is a stash. So don't be thinking he's going to be out there anytime soon. And then they go right on bye week 10. So it's kind of a shitty stash, but an upside stash, I guess. Like, I don't know. Would you play him like right away week 9 if he's active? Probably not. Then they go on bye. I don't know what your confidence level is going to be at week 11 with him, especially when they probably, get more healthy after the bye. So you can add him now if you really want to, but I just kind of talked myself out of it as I went through that. So
yeah, you absolutely talked me out of it. I was like, am I being sneaky smart here? And then you were just kind of like, no, man, like absolutely not. You're being real sneaky dumb and trying to stash a guy on your bench for 4 weeks straight without being able to play him.
Right as you're trying to push to make playoffs. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah, that sucks. That's a terrible call. You fire me from this, dude. I suck.
So probably not. Yeah, I think we're in agreement with that one. It's fool's gold right now.
Yeah, I mean, probably a good week 9, week 10 ad if you have the room to do it. But
sure.
We're going into week 7, and it is not yet that point. Moving on to Geronimo Allison, he got concussed as fuck after already dropping a few passes there. I think he saw 7 targets in that game, though, before he was hurt.
He did.
But I mean, this Packers wide receiver situation is very much you're juggling and there's a lot of balls up in the air and you're not going to catch all of them. Devontae Adams, we don't really know his status going forward. Now Allison is concussed. MVS left the game with an injury, but then came back. Allen Lazard was like pretty fucking good.
Whatever, dude. I'm not buying it. Also,
I'm not buying it either, but like he was good.
He was good, but for the record, he was down at the 1. Like, that officiating crew is trash. But that's besides the fact that game was very poorly called. But I'm not buying into this. Like, are you really going to play him with any confidence? Like, how deep of a league are you in where you're going to be like, I'll pick up Lazard and play him?
Yeah. I mean, unless you're in like a 16 team
14.
league or something, like there's no real reason to.
No.
With that game, just as a side note, I've been going back and forth between like that officiating crew is absolute garbage and they gave the game to the Packers, and then also just being like, the Lions kicked 5 fucking field goals. Just get a touchdown. Like it's.
I'm surprised they didn't go for it more, like down there. Like, they immediately let the Packers game, like let them back in the game, like right at halftime.
Matt Patricia isn't good.
No, he's not.
He's not good.
We've said it before. We'll say it again.
Yeah. Anyway, Chris Thompson, turf toe availability in question for week 7. Correct me if I'm wrong. Their schedule's bad coming up, isn't it? Or am I?
I mean, they're the fucking Redskins, so it's going to be bad regardless. And turf toe is something that you read and you're like, whatever, get over it, pussy. And then it's just the guy's out for 8 weeks. So I feel like Chris Thompson might be nearing droppable territory, even though he's been sort of a floor play for you in PPR.
Yeah, next 3 weeks are Niners, Vikings, and Bills. That sucks.
Yeah.
So,
and anyone that thinks AP is going to benefit from this, he will not. They play Dolphins, and that the matchup you just said, like, fuck that.
You're gonna start a running back who cannot catch passes more than like two or three targets a game against the Niners, the Vikings, and the Bills the next 3 weeks. Like, go ahead and drop him.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. Like, you got the most out of him. Their fucking mental patient coach wants to run the ball a lot. Like, good fucking luck with that.
Yeah, and I mean, even after that, like, they play the Jets, who by that point might be good, the Lions, the Panthers, the Packers, the Eagles, and then Giants, Cowboys, like, sure, whatever. But, like, no more Redskins for the rest of the year. pretty
Maybe
much.
Terry McLaurin, but that's
You're going to play in the next 3 weeks? Because I'm not.
Hey, he's been really good.
Yeah, I know he's been really good, but like, yeah.
Would you? I mean, he's probably a trade away.
No, I'm not dropping him. I'm trying to sell him high.
Yeah. Well, we just kind of gave away the massive schedule problem. So if they're keen on that, I'm sure they won't be thrilled to trade for him.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're not. I don't think too many people are I don't think too many people have like the Redskins schedule just like in the back of their heads at all time. But
true, but they don't really need to because you're like, hey, it's the fucking Redskins. I don't want this guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Hey, he might have Dwayne Haskins throwing to him in a week. Like,
Dear
I don't think I want
Christ.
that. All right, and then moving on to the last injuries that we've got here. So a couple Texans non-skill position guys. Bradley Roby has a hamstring injury. He's expected to be out a month. This is a big deal because their other starting corner, Jonathan Joseph, just missed this week with a hamstring injury as well. Now, neither of these guys are elite at this stage in their careers, but you would expect, again, that the players behind them are not any better than them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be fucking starting. So this seems like it should be a boon to players playing against the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, as if you needed more of a reason to play people against them. They've been giving up shit anyway, so it's probably still going to maintain like where it is. Just they're still playing well against the Texans, so keep it rolling.
And then the other injury here was their right tackle, rookie Titus Howard, partial MCL tear. He will be out for a little while. The O-line is not good. It's getting worse. I looked at the pressure stats for them as well, though, and sneakily, and this I don't know if it's not really a coincidence that Watson has been so good the past 2 weeks. They've sneakily kept him out of pressure for the past 2 weeks. Like, they've been pretty good the past 2 weeks. So I don't know if that brings them back down or what. I really have a hard time diagnosing this offensive line. But they've been solid these past 2 weeks against the Chiefs and the Falcons, who are also two defenses who don't really get pressure.
I think that had a lot to do with it. Like, they kept him clean for those 2 games, as they should. So it's pretty weak. You know, they were going against weak defensive lines, so it was good on them to get right. But yeah, it's still a concern going forward.
Yeah, I mean, going forward, their schedule actually isn't bad either. Too, it's Colts, Raiders, Jaguars, Ravens, Colts again, then Patriots. That's bad, but like the next 5 look pretty tight to me.
And even then, like, Watson's enough of a fucking playmaker to have a good game against even someone like the Patriots. Like, they can get away with some points there.
Yeah, Watson balls. So do with that what you will, I guess. But that's going to do it for our injuries. We went a little bit long on that, but who cares? We're having fun.
Also have breaking news, Walsh.
What?
The Titans are going to play Ryan Tannehill.
Huh.
The change has been made, and he will start Sunday against the Chargers.
Interesting.
But also not interesting.
No, I was trying to think of any takeaways we could have from that. I was like, no. I was like, should we maybe downgrade Delaney Walker because he had such good chemistry with Marcus Mariota? It's like, and then I was like, don't even like fucking say anything here. So I didn't. I completely froze on air and made for some wonderful audio.
Well done.
Anyway, we'll be back with a breakdown of some things that happened this past week, as well as a quick preview of the Thursday night game. But yeah, we'll be back in just a second here.
You're listening to Let's Talk Fantasy Football, home of the brutally honest fantasy advice you've always needed.
All right, welcome back, guys. We are back from our quick little break. We took our pisses. We grabbed our beers. We're ready to go. I'm sorry, like my brain kind of broke and I like started stuttering towards the end of that. It's like, what about rookie Titus Howard? Their offensive line. Anyway, whatever. I'm not going to repeat it. You guys heard it. We're going to get into some things that happened this past week, and we're going to start with some really bad performances. We talked about the Rams. They really laid an egg here, man. You mentioned Malcolm Brown and how he got 40 yards rushing, got 40 yards, I think, on 8 attempts on the first drive and finished with 11 attempts for 40 yards.
Dude, you should have seen me when that happened. I was just like, he already has 4 points. Game just started. He is going to slam. And then nothing happened after
And like
that.
he should have gotten in the end zone, but they ran an
Twice.
end around to fucking Robert Woods.
Which I also have him. So I was like, oh, neat. Robert Woods will have a good day. And then that's all he got too.
Yeah. I mean, Goff threw for 78 yards. They just couldn't do anything.
Yep.
And I'm going to toot my own horn, man. I was on this. I was on the Niners defensive line, dominating the Rams offensive line. I was on the Niners beating them pretty big. I didn't think it was going to be to this extent, obviously. But that's why I was fading Malcolm Brown for most of the week.
Yeah.
That being said, do you think this is indicative of the Rams going forward? I mean, it's hard to say what is with all the trades that they just made, but
I was just about to say they're trying to right the ship. So at least that's like a move in the right direction. They're trying something where other teams would just be like, we're cool. We're still like really talented, but they've shown that they want to get the ship righted and figure this shit out. So I do appreciate that of the Rams, and they will put themselves in the hole with draft picks and money to do so. So
Yeah.
very, very impressive on their part. Props to them for having huge ass balls, but they're just going to be a different team now. Like Goff will probably have to do less if their defense is making some stops. Todd Gurley might get more carries if he comes back with like their game flow changes. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen, and I think we're going to have to wait and see, but I think you're still playing your playmakers.
yeah, one guy I think that you can kind of afford to sit like until he really proves it is Brandon Cooks, because he hasn't really shown it so far this year.
Do you think he gets traded?
I did not have that thought come into my brain for even a single second until you just said it.
So like, here's my thought. He's not performing out of like all the big contract dudes, outside of Goff, but you're not getting rid of him at any time. So you're kind of tied to him, but he's definitely doing the least. And I know he's injured and whatnot, but really wasn't doing it beforehand either. Has a huge, huge contract. I could see him getting dealt.
I think that contract is almost prohibitive. But maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm saying that again as having thought about it for all of 15 seconds right now. So my opinions are not very well formulated at this point. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to have to make some room because they got to pay Ramsey. Someone's going to go.
Yeah. The other thing I think that's come into my head this week is, does Sean McVay kind of suck at like changing his offensive game plan? Because like last year they ran like 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 running back personnel, like 96% of snaps. It worked. When Gurley got hurt, they immediately got terrible. Like this year, he seems like he's had trouble adjusting to the offensive line being not as good.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. Like he's like the first drive against the 49ers, I'm like, all right, Sean McVay still got it. And then kind of just nothing else happened after that first drive. And it looked really good. And that's all they scripted, I guess. Well,
that's the Gruden effect is having really good scripted plays. And
yeah. So interesting take. I thought of that for all of 15 seconds. So touche, Walsh. We're 1-1 for things that happen.
All right, let's see who wins by the end of the podcast. Let's move on to your Cincinnati Bengals, who also laid an egg. I'm sorry to have to do this. Joe Mixon, what the fuck do you make of him?
Dude, you got to feel bad for the fucking guy. If you watched any of that game, God bless your soul. And also you saw the huge problem that is their offensive line. Like, dude, he's getting attacked. Like, it's not his fault.
They just had another offensive lineman get hurt too, right?
Don't even fucking remind me, dude. It's just, it doesn't matter at this point. They're just bad. They're terrible. Joe Mixon is another guy. I think, like you say, you can sit Brandon Cooks. You could probably sit Joe Mixon. I know the running back situation around leagues is like varied, but you probably can't afford to. But if you have an embarrassment of riches at running back, I could see you sitting him because there's nowhere for him to run. There's no holes. He could be as talented as he wants. Like, it's just not happening.
I don't think you're wrong there. I got 2 other questions for you about the Bengals. Mm-hmm. One, are you buying Tyler Boyd's down game, or was it Marlon Humphrey jail? And
Marlon Humphreys.
Okay, fair enough. And then 2, Auden Tate had 12 targets, some bullshit like that. Are you buying him as a guy you can start?
Yeah, I really am. And did you see the catches he made?
No, I didn't see any of this game.
Oh my God.
Outside of Lamar's runs.
So just look up Auden Tate highlights because you don't have to watch this whole thing, obviously. Don't even watch the whole highlight thing. It's like 8 minutes long and it's brutal. Well, it's really just Lamar Jackson being sweet. But, dude, the catches he made were ridiculous. Like, he had no business making these catches. Andy Dalton had no business throwing these passes. And he came down with as much as he could because a lot of them were uncatchable. But holy shit, does he make plays. And he is a monster. So I'm buying him for now. And like I just said before, at the beginning of the podcast with the AJ Green news, what if he just doesn't come back? You can have a dude that is free off the wire on a team that is going to be throwing the ball, playing catch up a ton, and a big, massive playmaker who's getting a lot of the target share, especially since Tyler Boyd is getting wide receiver one treatment from opposing defenses. So what is not to love about Auden Tate right now?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think you nailed it on that one. While we're on this game, just the Ravens' game plan with Marquise Brown out was clearly just we're going to run the ball with Lamar Jackson, and then we are going to throw the ball, 8 times to Mark Andrews. Like, that was it.
That's all they had to do, dude. It was very embarrassing. Bengals defense is a fucking sieve. They're just embarrassing right now. So anyone playing the Bengals, like, start everybody.
Yeah, it seems like it. Moving on to the Browns, I called this game as a get-right game for the Browns offense.
You were close.
It was there.
It was there, but, like, I don't know. It was just, like, you saw the score, and you're just like, what is going on here? And is this going to last? Like, Russell Wilson will not stay down. So I think that was more bad luck by the Browns, especially with those fourth down and, like, touchdown they scored 3 times and then didn't get anything.
Yeah, that whole play calling situation was, like, insane at the end with Freddie Kitchens and the challenge and, like, all of that. Baker, even though he had a good game, like, he could have had a bigger game. Yeah, he's that's the other thing is, like, he's a little bit hurt. He's playing through injury, but, like, he missed Odell Beckham on a couple throws. He's also getting very, very unlucky with picks going off of guys' hands. Between Callaway and, like, fucking, like,
stop. Callaway's not a thing. Like, stop. They need to just release that dude.
Well, hopefully Rashard Higgins is back healthy and they can just put Callaway on the bench for the rest of eternity. But
yeah, I don't think that guy's good at all.
No, he's not. And I spent the entire last year losing money on him on DraftKings in order to learn that. But I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, I don't know. Weird game in general. Also, just again, I'm going through side notes, not on stuff, but Russell Wilson is MVP right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would throw in my vote for Christian McCaffrey, but, as far as, like, quarterbacks, dude, he's the best quarterback in the league. And he's the best quarterback in fantasy as well. Hot start for him, which he usually doesn't have. So this could be his best season yet. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Jets. We touched on them a little bit earlier, but the Jets beat up the Cowboys, and are they good with Sam Darnold back?
I really think so. So we have, like, a 2-game sample size with them, and they kind of let one get away, versus the Bills, who we know have, like, an elite defense right now. They could have won that game, but, weird shit happened.
Josh Allen happened, baby.
Josh Allen happened to them. In the whole fourth quarter, they just got Josh Allen.
And when Josh Allen happens, there ain't no stopping it.
So they got wrecked by him. But, yeah, they looked, pretty fucking good. Like, they did everything. Like, Crowder got a dickload of targets. Robbie hit the bomb. Le'Veon Bell did his thing. Had his worst game receiving, which was very surprising. But I think that had a lot to do with Crowder because Adam Gase just has, like, a hard-on for him. So less passing work for him, but I'm sure it's going to get, somewhere evened out. But Bell did his thing as well, so they look pretty impressive.
That was what I kind of wanted to ask about because Le'Veon Bell, despite the team being terrible, has been, like, very, very good the entire season in fantasy. And this was his worst week fantasy-wise. So are you concerned at all about him going forward? Like you mentioned, 1 target on the night or on the day. Not really what you want to see out of him in a situation where we thought this was really going to benefit him to have Darnold back.
I think if I'm giving Adam Gase way too much credit, but I think this could have been like a work management kind of deal where they really worked him like really hard throughout the games where Darnold wasn't there. Like he was upwards of 20 touches a game where they were just getting smashed. So maybe they wanted to like lighten his load and give a lot more targets to Crowder, where necessarily they could have made plays more designed for Bell underneath. So again, giving way too much praise to Adam Gase to even think that up, but that could have been the case. But I still think this is going to be an outlier game for Bell, who's immensely talented and ready to just, handle upwards of 20, 25 carries, touches.
2-1 you. I didn't even think about that. Like
again, dude,
all.
Adam Gase is not that smart, right? Like, there's no possible way.
I mean, he might be. I don't know. Like,
then he's an idiot savant, because there's no, I don't know. That was just my thinking, is like that whole time.
I think you're an idiot savant, dude.
Oh, I know I'm an idiot savant.
Wow. All right. Yeah. 2-1 you, because that was not even a thought that had like passed through my head up until you said it. And I don't know if you're entirely wrong. You mentioned in the outline, weeks 9 to 15, Miami twice, the Redskins, the Bengals, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Ravens.
Which I might take the Ravens out of there with the addition of, their incredibly good cornerbacks coming in.
Right. I still don't think I would. I would wait and see on that one. But sure. Fucking dude.
Light them up, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to buy terribly low on these guys, I feel like, because they had the good week. It might have been nicer if they had an okay week in terms of the buy lowness, or the ability to buy low.
True.
The buy lowness. What am I? Sorry. But you got to be trying to get Jets right now. That's why I'm still not off of Herndon, despite all of the things.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming their way. Bills as well, because they're in the same division, playing the same people. They're playing the same teams. So they have a lot of similarities in the schedules coming up. So I've been targeting Bills, Jets, holding them, trying to obtain them in any possible way, because their schedules coming up are amazing. So try to go out there and get them. The window might be closed. If not, it's going to slam shut after this week. Maybe not for the Jets, though, because they do have Patriots this week, and then the Jaguars, who, got rid of Ramsey, so maybe less them. But their schedule is incredible going forward.
So maybe wait until after this week, because you would assume they're not going to do much against the Patriots. That defense is elite.
What if they do?
Then you're fucked. Then the window has not only been slammed shut, but it's been slammed shut so hard that the entire window pane broke, and they boarded over it. That's how hard that thing's been shut. But if they do what we think they will against the Patriots, then the buy low window has been opened up a little bit more, and you've got a little bit of room to try and acquire these guys for this stretch of schedule that should be extremely. I was going to say fuckable. That seems like the wrong adjective,
but it's not.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here.
Speaking of fuckable.
Yeah. Your next bullet point on our outline was Kyler and Ryan light up my dick. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah, I mean, this was another point that we had later on, so we'll cross that later one off the outline. But the Cardinals are looking better and better. I know the schedule has been very, very good for them these past 2 weeks, but Kyler looks great. He's spreading the ball around. He's about to get Christian Kirk back. We'll see about David Johnson and his health and whatever, but god damn, this team looks really, really, really good.
Yeah, I think they're starting to settle in. Kingsbury's offense is kind of coming more and more put together. So obviously they've had good matchups, and that's a good way to put your offense on display. So a huge morale booster for them. And they still have a great plus matchup against the Giants this week. So I think it continues. And we have a situation in our league where Matt owns Patrick Mahomes and Kyler, and he will be playing Kyler over dear Patrick Mahomes this week. So it's
part of that is the narrative, but I also think it's the right play.
I said the same thing, but it's, he's becoming an every week play for, Kyler, and he's shown it like we were talking about last week when we were doing the second half preview. He's been great without throwing passing touchdowns and pretty much just having a floor. We're starting to see his ceiling, and it's metal as hell.
Yeah, he got 3 passing touchdowns this past week. It was there this week, and it was what we expected it to be.
QB1.
Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely great. And even with David Johnson being a little bit hurt, I mean, this past week, David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald were really the focal points of the offense, but you've got Chase Edmonds getting in the end zone again. You've got, Keyshawn Johnson and Pharaoh Cooper in there. Damiere Byrd was back this week and got a deep target, which is something we haven't really seen in this offense. So maybe as Christian Kirk comes back, Kyler gets more comfortable, this whole thing, we can see some deep targets maybe make their way into the offense. Either way, this week against the Giants is not the week to stop playing him. Kyler's been absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, keep him rolling.
And then the same thing with Ryan. We talked about it a little bit before with the Sanu usage and the sort of off the cuff talk about the Falcons. But Matt Ryan, despite the Falcons like losing a lot and not being particularly good, has been a great fantasy asset this year.
If they were winning, he would be an MVP consideration because he is just lighting up defenses, keeping them in the game himself. And it's very impressive, and I just kind of feel bad for him. Like they got nothing doing on defense, man.
Their defense has been like trash to like the next level. Where
I think historically bad.
They're getting no pressure on the quarterback. Their secondary is not stopping anything. The one thing that they've been weirdly okay at has been stopping running backs really until this week, which is so bizarre because pass catching running backs against the Falcons has been a trope for what seems like my entire fantasy career.
Maybe Dan Quinn got so fixated on that's all he wanted to stop and just let everything else happen.
Yeah, seriously. But we'll see how it goes there. I mean, both of them are absolutely lighting it up right now. Let's move on to the Seahawks and Chris Carson, who, despite the early fumble concerns, has elite usage and I think is a top 7 running back the rest of the way.
Oh, I was going to say he's 11 right now, so he's back on track to being top 10. And I feel like if this is any indication, he has room to get back to top 5 where a lot of people possibly had him with his, his workload projection and his touchdown upside. So Chris Carson back on track, baby. Keep holding on to that fucking ball and you keep your job.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down – sorry, I'm scrolling through my game notes from this past week. Where the fuck did I have it? So he had over 20 carries and then also chipped in 4 targets, 4 catches, 35 yards through the air. I mean, that kind of usage is not something you come across very often. And I know he hasn't been a guy who's really had like a blowout game for the most part, like 3 touchdowns or like 150, 160 yards type of thing. But like, based on the way the Seahawks have run, like that's going to come at some point this year. And he's really just getting the usage that makes him unsittable throughout the rest of the season. Yeah.
And the blow up game will just be gravy on top of a game that's probably already going to be really good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. On the Eagles side, you said Alshon is an every week start. I know he got those 10 targets, it was 10 catches, wasn't it? But it was only 76 yards and a touchdown. Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, that was a rough-ass matchup, and if, they're going to – he just, fucking Wentz throws to him so much. Like, he really doesn't have anywhere else to go. Or it's just kind of having a down season. They've been targeting him less. Maybe defenses are more keen on that. But whenever Alshon is in, he has a good game, and he's heavily targeted, and, he can always catch the touchdown. So I love Alshon.
Okay.
I would target him if, someone has a lot of wide receivers and maybe they're not playing Alshon because of that reason, or they don't like Alshon because – I see you're kind of on the fence with it too, but it's just the guy commands a heavy target volume and the touchdown upside is always there for this dude. So I'm incredibly interested with him going forward. I mean, I know Deshaun Jackson might come back, but I still feel like Alshon is Alshon. And
that's what I was going to ask about was I know that the news hasn't been rosy about Deshaun Jackson. It seems like every week he gets pushed back another week, but if and when he does return, are you at all concerned there?
No, not really, because Deshaun's game is always catch a deep ball, do your thing. I know he had a great we have a small sample size of him on this Eagles team for the year. So I don't really know what to make of his return. Will he be fully healthy? I don't think he's going to take anything really away from Alshon's role in the offense, if that makes sense.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on to Houston. What's the deal with Deshaun Jackson, or not Deshaun Jackson? Sorry, fucking DeAndre Hopkins.
So I own him in a lot of leagues, and I wrote here, I'm not worried about him, but I also don't know what the fuck is going on. He had again, a huge target share, over 30%, caught 10 balls, and had a very mediocre game. Like, this should have been the blow up. He should have had a touchdown. We had Will Fuller dropping passes for touchdowns too.
Huh.
It's coming, right? Like, this game is gonna happen soon.
You brushed over Will Fuller. I just want to quickly say, Will Fuller dropped 3 touchdowns for 103 yards in that game.
I did brush over that because I'm very selfish, but
yeah,
he had
three drops that would have been 3 touchdowns for 103 yards. Just
they should have beat the shit out of the Chiefs, and they barely squeaked out a win. But that's again, I wouldn't be worried about Will Fuller either. But it just seems to be a very weird functioning offense. Yeah,
and I'm not worried about Hopkins at all because he actually has been usable the past 2 weeks after kind of being like on the disappointing side of things for a while before that. And I mean, in terms of the target share there, he's still at a 28% target share. He's at a 30% target share, 30% share of the air yards on the team. So he's still getting targeted downfield. I mean, the average depth of target there is about 11 yards. Like, that's not bad. It just hasn't really happened. It hasn't all been put together in 1 week so far. I'm going to keep saying this until I'm like dead in a coffin, but it's going to happen. Like, you shouldn't worry about it. If the Hopkins owner is worried about it, you should be trying to trade for DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I feel like this might be like the new Julio situation. Like, he could possibly drop 300 on a team anytime soon, and then it's just like Hopkins week. But
yeah, there's going to be a 183 touchdowns Hopkins week, like, at some point. And I'm going to keep playing him in daily until he does it because, like, fuck you, I'm not missing that week.
Exactly. You know? Yeah, I've been on him too every time in our like weekly thing too. I'm just like, Hopkins check, like, throw him in.
But I mean, you would have to expect his price would keep going down. We're getting too far in the weeds. Anyway, let's move on to Hunter Henry, who we kind of expected to be limited. Hunter Henry is back.
I agree, but I will say a lot of garbage time shit that happened. But hey, still points, looked pretty good. But you're taking what you can get, and Hunter Henry you're playing for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if I see, I don't care if it's garbage time. If I see a tight end with 9 targets, 8 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns, that motherfucker is in my lineup every week until further notice. And that's the way it is with Hunter Henry. If you got lucky enough that someone in your league got impatient and dropped him, congratulations. You won. You did great there.
Absolutely.
The Chargers themselves are kind of a mess, and that's one thing that we haven't really talked about in this podcast that we probably should have.
They're a bad team.
Yeah, we'll try and make like some time at some point. Like, I don't know what to fucking make of them. It should have been a fucking Eckler game this week, right? Am I like that?
It should have been an everybody game, but the first 2 turnovers for them were just fucking killer, and they couldn't.
They lost to a guy named Duck Hodges.
Yeah, who is a 3rd-string undrafted free agent. Like, fucking, what are you doing?
All right. Last thing that we need to go through here. Kamara limited with an injury. It's a high ankle injury, apparently. My question was, does Latavius become viable? And you immediately shut me down correctly.
Yeah, like, they have the Bears coming up. Even if fucking Kamara is not active and you get a full Latavius game, what are you really expecting there? I get a lot of people are probably in some trouble with bye weeks and or overall running back situation, but really, what is your expectation that week? You got to think Kamara gets healthy by the next week, which is Cardinals. If not, Latavius could be started there. But why would you even be holding on for that little glimmer of hope? Because Kamara could probably still play this week, and then they go on bye. So I'm not really about Latavius at all.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't be opposed to them just, holding Kamara out till after the bye. Not that they're going to, but for what it's worth, they split the work pretty evenly this past week. I do have it somewhere. Where do I have it? Kamara got 18 touches. Latavius got 11 this past week. And that was with Kamara being hurt. So
Yeah, and Kamara's always been kind of prone to the surprise, like Sean Payton rest games that we'll have no inclination of whatsoever until it's happening. So not out of like nowhere, I guess, but also out of nowhere, if that makes any sense.
Ah, yes, of course. The classic, not out of nowhere, but also out of nowhere.
Typical Sean Payton. He gets you when you're not looking.
The classic Sean Payton RKO.
You should expect it, but you still get hit with it.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to some whack-ass backfields, and we're going to start whack-ass backfields with a whack-ass offense, and that's the Chiefs' offense. So we'll start with the backfield.
Actually, maybe we should just save this for the preview of the game, and we'll just do the Niners, Packers, Rams.
You cannot be more correct. All right, whack-ass backfields, Niners backfield. All right, so here's the split here. Tevin Coleman, 18 carries for 45 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 targets, 2 catches, 16 yards. I believe he had 5 touches inside the red zone for the game.
And he's had 10 red zone touches like total on the season. And then next in line would be, well, I guess Jeff Wilson, but Breda, who's, the next guy in line just has 2. So Coleman is the dude in the red zone, and also seems to be top dog right now for Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, moving on to Breda, he had 13 carries for 36 yards, 4 targets, 4 catches, 27 yards, and then Raheem Mostert, 4 carries, 13 yards. I think you can count him out. It seems like Coleman coming back has made this more of a 2-man backfield for fantasy-intensive purposes, because Wilson was getting like the Mostert carries, but also the red zone carries. So now Coleman is getting those red zone carries. Plus he's getting the Breda role from before. And Breda's just getting like the combination Breda Mostert role from before.
Breda still got 17 touches, which is like, you could still play this guy, but it's just going to be a lesser upside than it was with Coleman out.
Yeah. I mean, look, they're the number 1 running offense in the NFL right now. Like it's definitely possible for both of them to have very, very usable weeks almost every week.
Absolutely. And it's impressive that they've did this with like 2 of their starting linemen now and Kyle Juszczyk on the shelf. So huge vote of confidence, because we were talking about in the preview, like we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe it all changes, but Kyle Shanahan once again proves that he is going to run the ball no matter what you want.
Yeah, and I was nervous about Kittle staying into block, and then he went 8 targets, 8 catches, 103 yards, and just like looks great too.
Yeah.
After the reports of like him having the injury and maybe he won't be full go or whatever, he's just out there like fucking trucking fools, dude.
He's awesome.
Yeah, George Kittle rules. He's so good. I love him. But yeah, it's the backfield here. I like, we label it as a whack-ass backfield, but I don't think this one's that whack-ass. I think this one is like, you can just start both those guys.
It's whack-ass in the sense that it doesn't have a dude who's getting like 30 carries.
Yes.
Which you'd think they would do at some point, but they just won't. So
yeah,
that's all.
All right, let's move on to the Packers and their running back split. So this past week, Jamal Williams, 53% of the snaps, 14 carries, 104 yards, 5 targets, 4 catches, 32 yards. And then Aaron Jones, 49% of the snaps, 11 carries for 47 yards, 7 catches, 7 targets, 4 catches, 13 yards. I should have mentioned Jamal Williams had a passing touchdown if I didn't mention that. Both of these guys were great outside of the Jones drop on that surefire 25-yard touchdown catch.
Yeah.
But like both of these guys looked really, really good. Do you expect this? We know that Matt LaFleur wants to run the ball. Do you think these guys can both be usable?
I'm starting to think so after sort of just like, I'm sure everyone's kind of been trying to push down the Jamal Williams involvement in their mind, but it's happening and it's going to happen, which
he was on the field more than Jones.
I think that had a lot to do with the drop and the fumble.
I also think that as well. Yes.
Yeah. So like Aaron Jones will probably still get the lion's share. Maybe it goes closer to 60-40, but still like Jamal Williams will be out there. And I don't, it's hard to trust, but like So you're more inclined to play Aaron Jones, obviously, if you own him. He's an every week start for you. Jamal Williams, I think you can flex him or RB2 him until it starts to sift out or he has like a couple duds in a row. But, and again, he's a good stash. If Aaron Jones goes down, he's lead dog, and the same thing for Aaron Jones if Jamal Williams goes down. So they're both good holds. You can get away with playing them both. It's just I feel like Aaron Jones has more of an upside. You know what you're getting. Jamal Williams could be more of a surprise or a dud for you.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think benefits them very much so is that the wide receiver situation is so unsure at this point. So Devontae Adams out, Geronimo Allison out, MVS, left the game, had to come back. We don't really know the rest of the situation there. 12 targets to these two guys this past week.
Exactly.
The week before, Aaron Jones led the team with 8 targets over any wide receiver. So they're clearly targeting the running backs in the pass game. I think that gives both of them pretty high floors. The touchdown equity is pretty high for both these guys as well. So, yeah, I mean, until further notice, and particularly in good matchups, but until further notice, I think start both of them.
Yeah, I think I think that wraps up that whack-ass backfield. Again, one where there's just two guys and we're just trying to sift through the whackness.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far the answer has just been like, yeah, I play both of them.
The segment blows.
Yeah, seriously. Onto a truly whack-ass backfield, the Rams backfield. We talked about how Malcolm Brown had the 11 carries for 40 yards, not targeted in the pass game. And then Darrell Henderson had 6 carries for 39 yards, I believe. I think he had 2 targets, 1 catch, 9 yards.
And a fumble.
And a fumble. And now we don't know whether Gurley's going to come back or not. And we also don't know if Brown is going to play or not.
Yeah.
This one is truly whack ass.
We got one.
We nailed it, dude. We killed it.
So as a Gurley owner, I feel like I'm going to be owning all 3 of these dudes by Sunday. It's just going to be the shittiest moment of my life. And it's probably going to be like Gurley active, a whole bunch of rumors that he's going to be on a snap count. They're going to say Malcolm Brown's going to be a go, but they don't know how involved he'll be. And then it'll be like Darrell Henderson had a great week of practice. And you're just going to be like, cool, I'll just shoot myself in the head. That's where I'm at with this one. This one is definitely too whack for me.
Yeah, I have like hardly any opinion on any of this other than just keep an eye on the injury reports. And I think the least whack way this could go would be Gurley and Brown both being out and Henderson just being a full fucking go.
That would be the only way I would play Henderson.
Yes, completely agree with that.
Yeah, if Gurley's active, you play him. If Gurley's not active and Malcolm Brown is active, you play Malcolm Brown. And then at that point, Darrell Henderson becomes an extreme stretch if you want to.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough there. Let's move on to the Thursday night game. It is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs are a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under here is 48.5. I'm kind of scared of the Chiefs. Am I wrong here?
Yeah, so like the way Vegas laid out this line, like you think like the public would be slamming Chiefs at 3.5, but Broncos have been, I know it's not impressive who they stopped. It was like the Chargers and the Titans, but still their defense has improved a ton.
And we expected the defense to be good, I think, is a thing too. And like they defied our expectations for a couple of weeks, and now they've kind of been in line with our preseason expectations. I noted here that they moved from 16th in DVOA after 5 weeks to 8th after this week. And again, I know it's the Titans, but I think the Denver D might be pretty good.
Also, all it took was losing Bradley Chubb, like one of your best players. Like that's so odd to me. And they just started stuffing the run and like getting shit done. So it's very weird to read. And I think that's why this line is where it is.
Yeah, and I think part of that might be their cornerbacks like really getting in gear. Like Harris has shut down people these past couple of weeks. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a ton of like real strong opinions about this. I guess let's go through the Chiefs offense that I was going to go through before and just talk about sort of the splits. If I can fucking find it. Why are my notes so all right, here we go. So if you had to guess, have you seen the snap percentages for the Chiefs wide receivers this past week?
Not the wide receivers, but I have the running back ones.
Okay, if you had to guess 1, 2, 3, 4 in wide receiver snap percentage between Hill, Hardman, Robinson, and Pringle, what would be your 1, 2, 3, 4?
Well, since I know this is probably a trick question, I'll go Robinson at 1, Hill at 2, Hardman at 3, Pringle at 4.
The correct answer, good job on Robinson. So
Nice.
Robinson, number 1.
He's always out there.
86% of snaps. You know what that motherfucker did with it? 4 targets,
Nothing.
0 catches.
I played him in a league. I'm very aware.
Number two in snaps for the Chiefs wide receivers this past week. None other than Mr. Once you pop, you can't stop, Byron Pringle.
Jesus Christ.
Three targets, 59% of snaps, 3 targets, 2 catches, 24 yards. Number 3, Mr. Not Soft, Mecole Hardman. 4 targets.
Hill was 4th?
4 targets, 4 catches, 45 yards, 55% of snaps. Tyreek Hill only in on exactly 50% of the snaps.
Damn.
10 targets, 5 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Good thing he's a dog.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Like, he's just like one of the best wide receivers of all time.
Ooh, you got away with one there. Holy shit. That's good. That's good.
What?
That, like, you were able to get a good game on, like, minimal snaps. Like, you didn't pay the price for playing him. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are skeptical, but looking at that, like, percentage, it's scary.
The Sunday morning report was Schefter said, like, oh, Tyreek Hill is going to rotate in and out. Or no, it was Glazer. Sorry. Glazer said he's going to rotate in and out with the rest of the wide receivers.
Oh, he was right.
And then he, like, kind of went off, and people were like, oh, well, yeah, he's going to rotate in and out. But he did.
Yeah, he was totally right.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, he's that good, you know, but.
Mm-hmm. And we obviously saw that. That one touchdown was incredible. The other one was typical. But, like, it's only going to increase, obviously. I mean, it's a short week for him coming back off the injury, so it might be a little rough. Matchup's a little rough as well. But
are you concerned with Harris, who's been shadowing guys recently, or is,
not with Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek's not shadowable to me.
No, if you're shadowing him, I think he's going to burn you at least once.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
I'm not worried.
Let's move on to these running back snaps and just like how weird they are too. So, Shady led them in snaps, 23 of them. 8 carries for 44 yards, 2 targets, 2 catches, 0 yards.
It's like an anomaly.
Yeah. Damian Williams had 18 snaps, so 5 less than Shady. 1 carry for 6 yards. God fucking damn it. 1 catch for 14 yards on 1 target, and it was a touchdown. I played him in, like, all my daily lineups because he had like 52% of the snaps and like huge shares of the running and passing work for running backs the week before. Did not work.
No, it didn't.
Darrell Williams.
1 catch, like 60 yards?
1 catch for 52 yards on 2 targets and 6 snaps. What the fuck do we do with this?
I don't really know what they were doing, and if like all those numbers work out, the one stat I found was 26% of this like involvement of the offense went to the running backs. So that's ridiculous. Like that's just not what we usually bank on in an Andy Reid offense. And I wouldn't know why they wouldn't be trying to get them more involved, being that Patrick Mahomes is a little hobbled and their offensive line is banged up. Design some shit.
If there's one guy out of this that you are choosing for next week and then rest of season, who is it?
Jesus.
Because here's a sneaky little secret. Damian Williams has sucked this year.
I was going to lean McCoy, but like that sucks too. I don't want to die with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. Damian Williams has been bad. Shady's been like okay, but he's kind of banged up, and they clearly don't want to use him in the pass game constantly.
He's also old, so there's always that too.
Yeah, Darrell Williams has been good when he's on the field, but they gave him 6 fucking snaps this week. So
yeah,
what do we do?
Stash Darrell if you have room. Play McCoy and Williams until the wheels fall off, or it's noticeably really awful. I don't know. Like, what's your confidence level going into this matchup? Like, it's a little beat.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid all of them.
Yeah, that's incredibly fair, especially the short week, little involvement. watch them all like do well somehow. But yeah,
Yeah,
the
seriously.
signs are there.
Damian Williams gets like fucking 30 fantasy points this week, and I'm just sitting here smoking a cigarette in my recliner, just like, yeah, of course. Anyway,
Brutal.
Do we need to talk about Travis Kelce and when he's going to hit a ceiling game? Because he got 4 catches for 58 yards. Like, Travis Kelce hasn't been anything special this year.
He really hasn't, but I kind of view it as like a DeAndre Hopkins situation. Like, the dude's going to pop off eventually and just have 3 touchdowns out of nowhere. Still catching a touchdown. He's not killing you. He's still a great tight end. He's just not like blowing you away. So it's nothing that you should complain about, and the great games will be coming. Okay,
fair enough. On the Denver side of the ball, there are 2 guys that I want to play. It's Cortland Sutton and it's Phillip Lindsay. I am
100% with you. I was trying to think, like, Manny could probably sneak in, but not great with his latest outings and picking up injuries. So it's a little scary to want to play him on a short week. So kind of fuck that. I'm surprised you didn't throw Flacco into the stream territory.
I am about to pick him up in a league.
Okay.
I am not happy about it, but I'm doing it.
You weren't even going to say that.
It's either Dalton against, Jacksonville this week, or Flacco. Yeah. And, like, I think
I would go Flacco.
Yeah. The streamer pool is very, very shallow this week, and I am ashamed of myself. So I didn't bring it up. The other guy that we should bring up is Royce Freeman, just because we project him to be down, and he's gotten more of the passing down running back work. He's gotten more targets than Lindsay. Do you have any interest in him this week?
Yeah, he's a great floor play, especially with a lot of buys, like Christian McCaffrey's on bye. James Conner's on bye, so if you have him, you can definitely plug and play him. He's been floating around like 10 points in a half PPR, so he's a play you don't want to make, but he's been very involved in the passing work, as you said. Also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, this is kind of like looking towards the future to like week 11, but I was talking to Ed, who Royce Freeman is on his waiver wire, and he was thinking about how much like money he was going to spend to pick him up. And then he reminded me of a name like that I hadn't heard in forever, and it's Theo Riddick, who would possibly be coming back week 11. You think that dude just absorbs all the passing work when he gets back? It got me worried. I have Freeman in a bunch of leagues, and he's been decent.
Please do not make me think about Theo Riddick right now.
Dude, when he said that, I was like, oh my God, he's been on IR forever. And all Royce Freeman has been doing is floating on like a lot of passing volume, and that's Theo Riddick's bag. So
for some reason, I just watched that movie Midsommar this weekend, and when you said Theo Riddick, I just pictured Theo Riddick in the entire like flower crown and dress, just coming back to be like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna take 6 passing targets."
As Royce Freeman sits in a barn, just burning.
Yeah, Royce Freeman in a bear suit, just burning to death.
Deep references from a movie I'm not sure a lot of people have seen. So that's the situation, though, man. It's something to think about as we near, we're at the halfway point pretty much before the playoff push. So
yeah, if
creeping down.
I am not willing to think about Theo Riddick at this point in my life. I don't think fantasy owners should be either until at least a couple more weeks. You are truly a psychopath.
This is what me and Ed talk about. We just look forward and like look at schedules and just freak each other out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. Oh, who do you want in this one, Vin?
I'm going to take the Chiefs, but I would not be surprised if the Broncos cover.
Yeah, covering, yes. I don't think they're going to win. I'm also taking the Chiefs. You got anything else for the people before we let them go?
Yes, I could finally say it's not early anymore. Every loss means so much.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking panic and trade.
You should be living and dying on your wins and losses right now. Living and dying on them. Our fearless leader, Shrek, lost in our big league last night on that Mason Crosby field goal where Jamal Williams slid down a couple plays earlier, and I was just like, oh, fuck, that sucks. It also put me into first place in our league, so I was like, oh, that's actually really cool. But
and me into third, baby.
Yeah, so how about it? But yeah, guys, we have taken a lot of your time. I don't know exactly how long we've gone, but it's been a while. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it. I'm about to go watch some wrestling and the Righteous Gemstones season finale.
Beautiful night.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful night. I'm going to work from home tomorrow, so this is going to be a nice little session. Again, hopefully my bosses don't listen to this. I don't think they do. They don't play fantasy football, so whatever. Anyway, I think this will do it for us. Well, hopefully we will be back with the preview later this week. I don't know the specific schedule for that, but we will make sure to get that out to you guys. For Vinny and for Let's Talk Fantasy Football, I am Walsh. Later, podcast.
This has been Let's Talk Fantasy Football. Thanks for listening.